today we're looking at the Scarpa Terra. This is our best-selling boot presently in the shop, and we sell loads of these, and there's lots of reasons why, which we're going to look at. First thing to mention though, sometimes this is known as the Terra 2. There is a bit of confusion out there. Fortunately, some retailers decided to call it the Terra 2 when they did a few upgrades to the original Terra. There is no Terra 2. If you go on Scarpa's website, you'll find Terra. This boot is aimed at easy walking trails up to light mountain use. It has a high degree of flexibility in that sense. It's absolutely brilliant boot for the moors. It'll eat the moors alive. It's that kind of boot where on the moorland trails, the light, flexible, comfortable boot like this, you're not going to be thinking about your boot. You're going to be thinking about enjoying your walk, because this is going to just look after your feet. My wife has a pair of these as well. She runs them against her Rangers. She mainly uses her Terra. She uses her Rangers for when she goes into like the higher mounted, the more difficult terrains, and when we know there's going to be a lot of mud around, because the Ranger will deal with that a little bit better with more ankle support as well. For most people, the Terra will do all the jobs they want an outdoor boot to do. So let's get into the boot itself. So you've got this wonderful Scarpa European leather upper. It's an oiled nubuck. So what does that mean? Basically, I prefer oiled nubucks. You'll see the nubucks around. Remember, we now don't use traditional dubbing. We're not going to get into that here. We will do that on another video talking about aftercare and the importance of getting your aftercare right for the right product. Aftercare with this boot is pretty straightforward. I would recommend either the HS12 from Scarpa or the Nick Wax, both of which will look after that leather fine. So we've got our leather exterior, leather throughout, and behind that we have the reliable Goretex membrane. Goretex is good in jackets, but it's very good in footwear. In the shop we have come to fully trust Goretex. It's a reliable waterproof solution for footwear. Then you've got the Vibram outsole unit, and it's got reasonable luggage, and it's also got a reasonable heel brake. All that adds up to a reasonable grip on muddy, slippy ground. It's not the most aggressive sole unit, but it's not the most aggressive footwear. On top of that, you've got the midsole, which is a very big, thick wedge of cushioning. A few other bits of technology in there as well. The torso stability shank, for example, we'll get on that in a minute. But what that means is you've got a lot of cushioning in this boot, and that does add up to comfort over distance. Then you've got the Scarpa Insole, Scarpa Insole. It's a basic insole, so it's not got any targeted arch support or anything like that. You'd get an extra insole for that, just like most footwear. What it does have is a little bit of memory foam in there as well, and it just combines with that midsole and outsole to produce a really stable, really comfortable footbed, and I think that's quite key. It is a semi-stiffened boot. One of the biggest changes from the Terra 1 to the Terra 2 is they made the sole unit stiffer. It's still not a super stiff boot. It's less stiff, for example, than a Ranger, but more stiff than you would find in, say, a Cirrus. So it hits a bit of a sweet spot. And so, as we've already alluded to, moorland use, it really does give you a comfortable, stable footbed to walk on. So we've got that torso stability shank, which is the stiffening board in it that gives that rigidity. It's actually still got a graded flexibility in the toe area. So as you're walking on the nicer, easier trails, it doesn't give you too solid a footbed that you're working against all the time. But then again, when you start getting into a little bit more difficult terrain, stones, rocks, that kind of thing, there's enough rigidity in the sole unit to take most of those sharp points out. And again, on those longer trails, it'll give you a nice, comfortable but stable footbed to walk on. The cuff is extremely soft. For the majority of people, they enjoy pastoral, easy walks in the UK. That gives you enough ankle support. And I think it's one of the reasons we do so well with this boot. As soon as you put it on, as long as you get the right size and the last, which we'll talk about, fits your foot, it's instantly comfortable piece of footwear. This isn't a boot that will have a long wearing period. You should, if you're a regular walker, be able to put one of these on as long as I've said, it's the right size and shape for you. You should just be able to go off and walk without any difficulties. The gents and the ladies have very little difference. There is a colour difference on the interior. This boot is an excellent choice for the majority of UK walkers. It'll allow you to enjoy the moors, the dales and the easy trails with careful trail choice and the use of poles as well. This can also take you into some of the more easy mountain environments we have in the UK, but I would put a rider on that to choose your path carefully and also to have some insight already into mountain movement, how to choose steps and route choosing, because this isn't particularly designed for a high mountain, hard mountain use. Although, as I said, with a bit of care and route choice, you should be able to use these without too much difficulty. The last is a really important piece to any footwear construction. The last is the mould, for want of a better description, that the boot is built around. And this is Scarpa's Comfort Last. And another one of the changes they made with the Terra to the Terra 2018 is that they slightly widened the toe area, just slightly, and it just gave a little bit more room to us Brits that tend to have wide feet and fairly high volume feet. So we find this works pretty well. It does seem to fit a fairly large breadth of foot shapes. So if you've got really narrow, really broad, probably not a boot for you. In between for sure. We find sizing, it comes up about right. Best place to try footwear is in a shop. Come see us at Trailblazer Outdoors. We'll measure your feet and we'll get a few different styles on you as well. But we do find that this has one of those lasts that the mountain boot, which is the people who bring this into the UK, work with Scarpa to produce one that just suits the British foot. It's a wide foot. Is what it is. We're all hobbits, what can I say? All in all, it's an excellent piece of walking footwear, premium, packed full of features, and will give the majority of outdoors fans many miles of happy trails, which at the end of the day, what we're all here for. If you've liked the video, please press like. If you'd like to see more, please press subscribe. Comments are always welcome, but most importantly of all, you go out there and you enjoy your outdoors time.